Good morning. I'd like to give you a brief tour of the digital maze game, just so you know the basic rules. If you Google the word MazeFire, you'll come right to our site, and if you click this All Mazes button, you can see there's a variety of games that you can play. Let's try Biology 101 here. And here you see a question along with some answers, and over here a small grid with some suggestions. I'm going to close this. And the important thing here is that each box or room in the maze corresponds to a question. And so as we go from question to question, we will actually be going room by room through the maze. And what makes the digital maze different from a physical maze is that you navigate the digital maze by choosing the right bit of information to follow. That is, by choosing a correct answer. You don't actually have the option of choosing a physical direction. You have to choose an item of information. In this particular room, we have a question about a virus, and we have a tip, and we have an image of a virus with some DNA inside. So let's choose E, genetic material, which takes us to a new room, where we have a new question about chemical elements inside cells. And we have to choose a new answer, so what we are really doing here is navigating between bits of information. We're navigating through an information space where our information choices determine our path through the maze. We can choose any one of these 5 answers or bits of information. Let's try B. And we are now in a third location, a question about organelles. And if we keep choosing correctly, we keep getting closer to the maze exit. But here's the part that boggles people. No one tells you if you're going in the right direction through this information space or not. And of course we cannot tell you that. If this was a cornrow maze, and if at each step we said to go straight or turn right, it would no longer be a maze. It would just be a walk through a cornfield. You quite literally have to think your way out of this maze. You have to choose the correct answers. In this case, one of these answers is that organelles cannot be stained. So let's try this, and that takes us to another location within the maze, where we find a question on genetic abnormalities. We are now exploring information space, and in the grid we have a trail of where we've been, just like Hansel and Gretel dropping breadcrumbs. But it doesn't tell you where to go next. It's your job to choose the right bits of information to find your way to the maze exit. And the rules could not be simpler. Correct answers always take you closer to the maze exit, while wrong answers further away. It's simple, but the truth is these maze games are diabolical. You could just try random answers to guess your way out of the maze, but the odds against that are astronomical. Your only real choice is to choose the correct bits of information, and because these mazes can be quite difficult, we provide tips, and more tips appear over time in the maze. And if doing this for homework and you get stuck, you realize that you're missing important bits of information which you can think about, or look up in your textbook, or try Wikipedia. That is, you can apply your knowledge to solve the maze puzzle. Here we see a question about genetic abnormalities, and looking at this tip and this image of chromosomes, we might choose answer C, non-disjunction. And now we see we've come full circle. That is, we're back at the 4 elements question. But we're not told if we got it right the first time or not. This seems anti-pedagogical. Well, that's okay. In a real maze, you can make wrong turns. You can end up back at places you've been before, just like being lost in downtown Boston. You can drive around in circles. Let's try this again. We'll try B. We'll try organelles cannot be stained. We'll try non-disjunction of chromosomes. And just like in real life, going around in circles is not particularly helpful. But here it's okay, because your job is to find the right path. And we'll help with tips and suggested resources, but ultimately, you have to think about what you do and do not know. Also, it's really important to emphasize here that when you see a question again, you might have gotten it right the first time. You might have been sent back here from deeper in the maze. So if you're stuck in a loop, you have to think deeply about all your answers, and you have to question your assumptions. Well, this is it. These are the rules, what it's like to play the game. Here we have a tip that says that 2 of the elements inside cells are from the atmosphere. There'll be oxygen and nitrogen, and I know we're made of hydrocarbons, so I'm thinking B is probably right. And now we're back at the organelle question, and if we check this tip out, it says that L means small, so maybe we went wrong here. Maybe the correct answer is B, substructure of a cell. And this brings us to a brand new room in the maze with a new question. And perhaps we're making progress. But if you're not sure, use your textbook, play with a friend. The important thing is to keep thinking about your answers. To speed things up, I'm going to click ahead a little bit. I'll choose nucleus. And there's a question about membranes. I'll choose proteins and lipids. And we have a question, what animal cells have that plants don't? Maybe centrioles. And this brings us to a question about osmosis. And we see a couple of tips. The first is a navigational tip. We do try to help players. And the second is a tip about diffusion. Let's close this. You can always open them again. And so we may think this has to do with the concentration of water molecules, D, and we'd be right. This time we know we're right because we completed the maze, which is quite satisfying. Good job. What most people will do here is click to see the questions and answers, and this page has all of the information within the maze, all of the questions and answers. And what everyone does at the exit, some players get frustrated in the maze, but what everyone does at the exit is to look and see which answers they got right or wrong, often to their surprise. We also provide these explanations, which makes these powerful learning moments due both to your prior efforts within the maze and because of your heightened motivational state, which boosts synaptic learning processes. Well, there's a lot more to say about synaptic learning theory. Under the Inquiries tab, you can find some information. If we choose Test Prep and scroll down, we'll see the most important thing here, which is that students really like these games once they get the hang of it. You can see from the quotes that they find all sorts of value in playing our maze games. Well, you're welcome to browse around our site and perhaps you'll see something of interest, or if you have a different topic in mind, just let us know. We'd be happy to make a demo maze for you. We just need 20 questions to start. Thanks.